All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give our glory and praises due to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakodash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of great millstone who rule well and teach well. I want to say salutations and peace to the whole field. Let's get the bride doing this work of truth and sincerity, shalom. And this is just a quick lesson through the spirit, man. Lord, when this is edifying. And it's just going into how the mysteries are revealed unto the prophets, man. You know, the mysteries are revealed unto the prophets, because like we know, like the scriptures say, man, knowledge shall increase in the last days. And you have a lot of people coming with questions, man, and they want answers. People are inquiring who are the true Hebrew Israelites. People are inquiring of their nationality, of who the so-called white man would be. The times, the things that's going on. People are worrying about, the economy, Trump, things of that nature, man. People are wondering, what is America actually going to come to? So people is concerned ultimately with prophecy, but people don't know that it's prophecy through Yahweh Shai Shai that's revealed unto his prophets, man. That's able to tell people these things and teach these things. So again, the mysteries are revealed, unto the prophets and ultimately the elect, man. Because the Lord was only dealing, again, like it tells you in Romans, roughly paraphrasing, with the children of Israel, but more so the elect, man. So, the telling of your nationality, you being for the tribe of Judah, or telling somebody they're from the tribe of Benjamin, or telling them that they will be a Hebrew Israelite, that's a mystery in itself, man. Telling somebody that the Lord name, in Hebrew would be Yahweh Shai, man. That's a mystery, man. The true name of the Father, Yahweh. That's a mystery, man. These things are mysteries, and all these mysteries have been revealed unto the prophets and the prophets only, man. And when the Lord is dealing with the prophets, he's ultimately dealing with the elect, man. But again, this is a quick lesson through the Spirit, Lord, when this is edifying. And we'll kick it right off with the book of Amos. All right, so this is the book of Amos 3:7. And it reads, surely the Lord Yahweh will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto the servants, the prophets, man. And we know this is a common scripture. Like the scriptures tell you, though, and the Lord is going to do nothing but revealeth his secrets unto his prophets, man. Or who is his prophets? The prophets or the saints of the children of Israel, man. He's revealing it to them, ultimately the elect. These are the ones that's going to have these answers for the world, to be able to tell the world, or to tell their people, whatever the case may be, or the things that's going on concerning the prophecy, concerning other times, concerning your nationality, things of that nature, man. Because, it's been given to them a spirit from Yahweh Shai to read the times, man, to measure out the times, to go back into the scriptures, and be able to filter through the scriptures to tell you what's going on through the scriptures, man, to tell you about prophecy, again, to tell you about your nationality, to tell you what the curses, to tell you about Esau, Edom, man, the so-called white man, to tell you about Jacob trouble, the tribulation, the MOTB, to break down this economy, this beast system, that's how revealed through the prophets, man, But ultimately, the Lord has, he's hid this from the outside world. So the outside world, these outsiders outside of the elect or the nation of Israel, they have these concerns, they have these questions again, and they're not able to swallow these things, It wasn't, they're not able to eat of that roll. They're not able to, to figure these things out because it wasn't given to them, man, And let's grab this real fast. This is Matthew 11 and chapter 25. We'll get to the point. And it says, and at that time, Yahweh shall answer and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and of earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and has revealed them unto babes, man. So the Lord has hid, these things, the mysteries, the understanding of the scriptures, man. The prophecies. Again, the concerning of the times. He said he hid these from the wise and prudent. Who's the wise and prudent? Those of the world, Esau, Edom, these top, philosophers, man, or researchers, man. These top, what do you have again? These, what do you call them? These guys and that do all this research. I can't even think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of the word, man. Not philosophers, but these people, they go to school to do all this heavy research, man. To figure out things, these top, professors or whatever the case may be, man. The Lord has hid these things, the scriptures, the prophets, they don't know these things, man. They can break down Esau's science, or things that have to do with the body or whatever the case may be, but they can't go into the scriptures and break down prophecy, man. The Lord hid that from him, and he said he has revealed them unto babes. Who are the babies, man? Those babies are the elect, ultimately, his prophets, man, who were born again, who were recreated and renewed through the Spirit and power of Yahweh to be revealed these things, to break them down to you, the Lord hid these from outsiders, man. Again, he didn't even reveal these things unto all Israel. It was unto his prophets, more so the elect, because that's who the Lord is dealing with, man. But let's jump to chapter 13, and I want to grab verse 11, man. So it says, Matthew 13:11. It says, he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given, man. In the same time, he was talking in parables, man, and you got to think, it was Israel out there. Also, it was other nations maybe out there, but it was Israel out there. But only certain of Israel was to get it. And again, those were the prophets, those were the elect, man. They was able to understand these things, to understand the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, to understand the gospel. But unto them it wasn't given. So it wasn't given to them that spirit to concern and understand these things, man. They wasn't given that that discernment, man. That knowledge, that wisdom. They wasn't given that spirit ultimately, man, to know these things, So verse 11 again says, he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given, man. So it was never given to them, man. The dispensation of the gospel, ultimately through Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh, because we know that all these things come from the Father, which was revealed unto Yahweh Shai. But Yahweh Shai, through his spirit, he revealed them unto us, his servants, the prophets, man. It wasn't given to them. It was only given to the prophet, the elect, man. Now let's grab this here in Colossians. This is Colossians 1. And I want to pick up at 25. Kind of read down to 27. And it says, wherefore I am made a minister according to the dispensation of the Most High, which is given to me for you to fulfill the word of the Most High, So we also have been made ministers and given a dispensation of Yahweh Shai, man, to fulfill the word of the Most High. It says, even the mystery which have been hid from ages. What are these mysteries that's been hid from ages, man? Prophecy, your nationality, you knowing that you're from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, or Manasseh, or Simeon. These things are mysteries, man. You understanding that Esau, Edom is the so-called white man. These things are mysteries, man. These things have been hid from ages, it says, and from generations, but now it's made manifest to his saints. Again, so like I said earlier, these things are made manifest to his saints, which are the elect, ultimately, which are the prophets, man. It says, to whom the Most High would make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Hamashiach in you, the hope of glory, man. So the Lord, he made known what is the riches of his glory of the mystery among the Gentiles, which is in Hamashiach in you, man. So those things which in Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, they were in us because we were receiving that same spirit. It says the hope of the glory, man. So it was made unto us, man, the dispensation of the Most High, man. It was given to us to fulfill the word, man. To be able to preach these things. That's why the Lord revealed them only unto his prophets, man. So going back to the point at hand, the title, the mysteries were revealed, unto his prophets, man. People have these questions. They can't go to your top philosophers, these top bankers, these top elites to get these things, man. You see Charles the White, people on social media, how people that's on social media, whatever you call them, these influencers, they know these things about the prophets, man. By knowing about the Israelites, about the end times, the MOTB, things of that nature. They know these things through the prophets, man. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. It was revealed unto the prophets for these people to understand and know these things, man. Because the Lord gave them out, man. The mysteries, again, they from Yahweh. Through Yahweh Shai, we were able to receive these things, man. Well, let's jump to this, man. Let's go down to Deuteronomy 29 to 29, man. And it reads, that's what I want. 29 to 29 says, the secret things belong unto the Lord our power, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. So the secret things, they belong to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, man. but they have been revealed in us from through the Spirit of Yahweh Shai from Yahweh. Again, it says unto our children forever that we may do all the words of this law, man. So the mystery, the secret things, which is this ministry, this truth, man, this gospel, it belongs to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Like the brother from Orlando like to say, this is a family affair, but it's in public, man. The Lord is only dealing with his elect, ultimately, man. The Lord is only dealing with, like the scripture tell you, a particular people, man. A certain nation. This wasn't given unto everybody, like it tells you in Romans, I want to say that's chapter 9. The gospel, the law, the giving of the law, man. What else it goes into? The service of the Most High. These things are all given unto Israel, ultimately the elect, man. These things were revealed unto his prophets, And like it said there in 29, that y'all belong unto, the Lord, man. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, But they were given unto they are the Lord's, but they were given unto us again through Yahweh Shai. So we were given these things, to search out and understand these things again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And let's grab this kind. That's what I want. Proverbs 25:2. And it reads, it is the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing. So it's the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing. What has the Lord concealed? He concealed the mysteries, man. The mysteries of knowing your nationality. Again, understanding Esau, Edom is the so-called white man. The MOTB, the end times, man. World War III. The world ultimately going to be destroyed. ICBM missiles, man. The nukes, man. Understanding who the nations are, man. Breaking down the beast in Daniel. Understanding the book of Revelation, the Lord concealed these things, but they were given ultimately to the elect. Like it says, but the honor of kings is to search out a manner. And that's what the Lord is, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, he's giving us that honor to search out the manner, man. Like the scripture tell you to study, show ourselves approved, making our calling and election sure. The Lord gave us that spirit to do these things so we can be able to preach these things, man. And warn the people, But let's close it out with this, man. Just something quick. Again, Lord, when this is edifying, because really the point has been made. But again, man, the Lord has revealed these things unto his servants, the prophets, man. Which are the elect, man. These mysteries, man. Because these things are mysteries into the world, man. You got people now in 2025, they still don't understand these things. They don't know these things. Or they've heard about them, but they can't understand it, man. Like we were dealing with a Jake the other day at camp. Well, before camp started. He was saying how he heard about, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans were the Hebrew Israelites. And he wanted proof. That's what he said in his mouth. He said, I want you to prove these things to me. But when you start breaking it down to Jake, it's like he loses his damn mind, man. He can't wrap his mind around it. Because ultimately he wasn't given to him, but these mysteries that were given to the prophets, man. To reveal these things to the people, but ultimately all people, it wasn't even meant for everybody to get it, Only certain ones are going to understand it and get it. And even then, when they do get it, everybody's not going to cleave to the word and actually do it, Actually commit to the work that's at hand, that was given to the prophets, man. But this is Romans 16 and 25, and it says, now to him that is of power to establish you according to my gospel in the preaching of Mashiach Yahweh Shai, according to the revelation of the mystery, which was kept since the world began. It says, but now it's made manifest and by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the everlasting God, made known to all nations for the obedience of the faith, man. So through the scriptures of the prophets, and these things are made known, they're made manifest, man. Again, through the preaching of Mashiach Yahweh Shai, man, this gospel, man. The mystery, like I said, was kept since the beginning of the world. These things were revealed unto us, man. To be made known, to be made manifest, man. This was all through the will and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. We got to be thankful for this, man. Because, again, everybody can't receive these things, man. People can't understand these things, Like the Lord said, eyes that they cannot see, ears that they cannot hear, man. We got to be blessed that we have eyes that can see and ears that can hear, spiritually, man. Again, we are those babies that were reborn again, able to learn and drink of that milk and ultimately, be able to eat of that meat, to be growing up into this truth, man. And brothers still growing into the truth, learning of the meat, being able to process and digest these things, man. Because certain things, than others are harder to digest or learn, But it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai that we understand these things, man. Even if you know the basic things, again, understanding your nationality, tribe of Judah, Benjamin, understanding the 12 tribe chart, that's a mystery in itself, man. Because you got Jake in the world, they can't even break that down, man. They can't understand how the so-called Dominicans would be of the tribe of Simeon. You know, they don't understand these things, man. You know, they still trying to include Esau. They still want to, include Eve in. They still want to, worship Eve, man. Make Eve a god. You know. But again, the point has been made, man. The mysteries of the Lord are ultimately revealed into His prophets, which ultimately is the elect, man. But Lord, willing, this is edifying. And with that, I'm gonna close it out until next time. I want to say shalom. Shalom.